So we'll get going.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Welcome to the Sex and Suicide Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Evans, and it is Women Crush Wednesday this evening. And we have the beautiful Michelle Westgarth with us. Say hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on tonight. You're looking very beautiful tonight.
Oh, thank you.
How are you liking your mug so far?
I'm loving my mug. This
Perfect.
is fabulous.
She's got Kim Kardashian's ass tonight.
I do.
It looks good.
Every woman wants Kim Kardashian's ass.
And you are going to train them to get in shape to have that ass, correct?
I am. This is what I do.
That a girl. So I've had some of your friends on the show before.
Yeah.
Other women that have had some phenomenal stories. And they said I had to get this Michelle on the show as well because she's got something for me.
Well, I hope I'm flattered by that.
Of course. I mean, we're just looking... Obviously, it's not a comparison.
Yeah.
We just want women empowerment, female empowerment on Women Crush Wednesdays. And we want anyone to come forward that has an inspirational story like yourself, right?
Right.
So how do I get back to where this whole thing kind of started? Where's a good starting spot for this story?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So, probably about two and a half years ago.
Two and a half years ago?
About where my story changed.
So let's talk about your original story then and go back a little bit further so that we can give the viewers and myself some background on who Michelle was. I mean, let's say maybe even 10 years ago.
So who I was 10 years ago was I was working in a corporate healthcare world. I owned my own business, basically helping people navigate healthcare systems. And I was an executive director at a retirement home here in London. Had been doing that for 7 years and just battling the healthcare system day in, day out. I was still active, like I was always active in my life, but it wasn't a focus for me. It wasn't something I was focused on. I was really focused on, career, this trajectory that I was on from childhood, basically, of kind of going through this path to eventually get into the family business, which is owning long-term care homes, right?
Okay.
And that's really where... That's just what you should do, right? You graduate high school, you go to university, and for me, it was you go to university with the intent to come out and follow this path.
Sure. So university is just a stepping stone to maybe broadening your horizons a little bit, and then stepping back to where the family business is meant to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of people fall in those footsteps, or maybe that's just the old school mentality of thinking. I don't know.
It's a very old school way of thinking.
Sure.
I think things are really slowly starting to change.
Yeah.
With that mentality, but yeah, it's definitely what I fell into. Up till just recently, I was make the money, put on the pretty face, look good, act the part. As long as you behave yourself, everything's going fine, right? But
so do you feel
rock the boat.
Do you feel during that time that you were ever yourself?
No.
So you're
absolutely not.
You feel like there's kind of, whether it was by your family or whether it was by society, do you feel like there's a little bit of a pressure that's being put on you to be someone that you weren't even comfortable really being?
Oh, I can't say that it came from external. I think it came from me. It came from not having the confidence, not having the self-esteem, not having the tools to know how to build my confidence or my self-esteem, right? And not having that solid foundation of confidence and self-esteem leads you to kind of look for that outside, right? So you
validation from others.
Exactly. You take what everybody else expects of you and you try to act that way or look that way or play that part or play that role in the hopes that you'll be accepted or you'll be good enough or you'll feel happy and fulfilled, right?
Right.
So that's what I was stuck in back then was, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. So clearly something's wrong with me because I'm not happy doing this. But if I just keep plugging away, at least it's, it's what everybody else wants me to do.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's where I was really cycling. But was it other people imposing that on me? No, it was me.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that maybe it was the way that we are, society kind of shoves things down our throats about having this perfect image? And do you think there's some kind of like a blueprint or programming? Because I feel like a lot of people get into these patterns where they're like, wait a minute, this is what everybody wants of me, but I'm not fucking happy. Like this, yeah. Do you think that like that played a role at all?
It's a fear. It's a fear of breaking that. Because
Okay.
what if,
Okay,
right?
sure.
What if people don't accept what you create or what you say? What if
You're rejected.
yeah, what if nobody likes what you do or what you make? So it was a real fear of stepping outside of that. I felt it. I felt the pull all the time towards doing something different that was always there.
Right.
But I never really fully acknowledged it or even gave it any kind of attention whatsoever, because it was, it's not what's going to get you the house and the car and the white picket fence with the 3.5 kids and the dog and the perfect husband. That's not the role where I was being pulled.
Right.
Wasn't going to get me the things that society tells you and sometimes your parents tell you
will fulfill you.
That's what makes you a good person, a
right.
success, right, in life.
Sure.
That's how we judge success. So, yeah, it wasn't until I was able to kind of step out of that and redefine success for myself. That's when I kind of was able to get strong enough to take those steps and really move forward to what I thought my life should be.
Right. So you started kind of taking control back into your own.
Yeah.
Sort of. Would you say that maybe you had a struggle with your mind and your heart?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. God, back then, I didn't even know the difference between my mind and my heart. I had no idea. I didn't listen to any. I didn't hear my own voice.
Sure.
Right. It was there. I kind of going through what I had to go through. Now I know that it's kind of this inner voice. It's either it's your true self or your higher power of the universe or the child in you that's speaking to you and saying these things. Follow your passion, follow your bliss, do the things that you were good at when you were a kid, because that's what's unique about you. Yeah. Right? Do those things, stick with it.
Sure.
And I heard those things, but I just kind of pushed them away thinking like, oh, right, what do you know?
I think a lot of people do, though.
Yeah.
They go their whole lives without ever even really listening to that little voice or that little feeling that's coming from here.
It's hard to give into that.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
It's really hard to just sit and hear that little thing and instead of the louder voices that are all around us every day, all day.
The ones that kind of told you how to survive as a kid growing up, and you kind of molded to become that. So you said that you have a new definition of success. What is your definition of success now?
So to me now, success is something that can I give back? If I'm giving back in some way to people, and I know this sounds kind of hippy dippy and everything, but that's really what's going to make me fulfilled. That's my personal definition of it. Is doing something with my life that makes other people happy.
Yeah.
Giving back. Finding love, and that doesn't mean in a relationship necessarily. It means finding love for myself.
Right.
If I can maintain a sense of love in a relationship with myself, that's a success for me.
Yes.
Being able to wake up in the morning and not hate my job, or not have that feeling in the pit of your stomach.
The anxiety.
Yeah, horrible weight, right? That's success. Having the freedom to create something every day, something new.
Sure.
Right? That's success for me. That's what I'm kind of measuring my goals by now.
That's interesting.
It's really changed.
So yeah, and before that, the success was obviously what everybody kind of considers the American dream.
Money. It was money.
Yeah, sure. But so would you say then that you found that by sort of giving back to the world and finding whatever it is that your gift is to give, that's how you're going to find gratitude and kind of find success in a way?
Yes.
Okay, I agree with that.
When I started listening, right, when I started cueing into these little, hints, or sometimes, like, I call them sledgehammers.
Okay.
That the universe or your higher power or whatever it is that's out there, that energy, right, that's bigger than us.
Yeah, it's all about energy. You can't deny that energy exists,
totally
right?
Does.
I mean, you've got cell phones in your pockets. Energy obviously exists.
Yes.
So, okay, continue.
Yeah, so it wasn't until, I started paying attention to those little hints and shoves and sledgehammers that were coming and were telling me, do something different. This isn't your path. This isn't what you're meant to do. So now, it took me a little bit. It took me a lot to get brave enough to follow that path, because, oh my God, like, I gave up a $200,000 job.
That's a big deal.
To personal train and work at a store.
Right.
An outdoor fitter. So, like, that's, God, that was like,
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you made the switch from taking over, and you said you had a pretty glamorous title at the end of this, sort of before everything kind of flipped your world upside down.
Yeah.
What was your title for the nursing home?
So I was the executive director.
You were the executive director. So you were like the top dog at this family business. You were one of the top dogs.
So I never worked for my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, this was a totally separate organization.
Okay,
yeah.
so you worked your way all the way up in another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I never once worked for my dad.
Really?
That was kind of the rule, was do it on your own, right? You make your own way. But I was, it's a leadership role. You're in charge of 200 plus staff. We had, I think, 70 residents at the time, and their families. So it all comes to you, right? You're responsible for that building.
Yeah.
And everyone in it.
So that was all on your shoulders.
That was all there. Yeah, that was all there, night and day. You're on call 24/7.
And you didn't like what you did at this point in time?
You know what? I loved the people. I loved working with the people, but I would find excuses to get out of the office, right? So I had us doing, like, planting the trees out on veterans memorials. We did that, and we did a dump tank, and we did, like, so I was always getting myself all involved with the activities department or the marketing department.
That's fun.
Just to get, and so, finally, like, and banging my head against the politics of healthcare, right? The business of healthcare. It's so backwards.
Mm-hmm.
We got people sitting around not taking care of themselves, eating whatever the heck they feel like, getting sick, and then expecting
free healthcare,
right, to take care of them, and no incentive for the people who actually their whole lives have taken care of themselves, gone to the gym until they're 90 years old, and
right.
Nothing there for those kind of people, or in the homes themselves, people who still want to feel purposeful. They still want a life. But we warehouse these people, and then we just look after their bodies. That's all we do there.
Right.
So, I got really sick of that, and it really became just soul-sucking. That kind of work was awful. I mean, the things you saw in those homes that went on that are swept under the rug, that nobody talks about. Sometimes you hear it. It comes out to the news sometimes, but not very often. Right. So, it kind of... after a while, it got to me. Yep. And I needed to get out of that.
And so what did you... Was it just that happened, or was there a few other things that happened?
Oh, there was a few other things.
So let's talk about everything that kind of happened at once for you.
So it was around December, prior to that, I'd learned that I was pregnant. Okay. This would be the fourth pregnancy.
The fourth pregnancy. Do you have any kids?
No.
You don't?
No.
So this was a fourth pregnancy. You've been pregnant 3 times before. Yeah. With, may I ask, was it a serious relationship or?
Yes.
Okay.
So the previous times it was with my now ex-husband.
Okay.
But then it was my husband.
Right.
And we had lost twins when they were 4.5 months.
Oh, geez.
And neither of us, we were both very young, and we didn't know how to handle that kind of loss.
Right.
On my side, there was no family support for it. I mean, the response I got from my mom was, well, you didn't want kids anyway, so we didn't think that this bothered you.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Very supportive.
Yeah.
My husband didn't know how to handle it. He literally took one day off of work and then went straight back to work, like, all the time. He was just at work. And I became very angry and very withdrawn, and just sort of internalized everything and blamed everybody.
This is after the